Hey Facebook, we are live at the Georgia Ports Authority with Lee Beckmann here. This is our monthly Open for Business series, the first of 2019, and we're here to talk about leadership development and the programs we have in our region. Lee Beckmann, why don't you introduce yourselves and tell everyone who you are?
I'm Lee Beckmann. I am the manager of government affairs here at the Georgia Ports Authority and also chairman of Leadership Southeast Georgia for this year.
Great.
Leadership Southeast is a regional leadership program where we meet 5 times over the course of the year, starting in February, ending in June. And we talk about regional issues that every member of the 10-county region, deals with, and has to work with and think about. And so we cover a different issue or issue or two every time we meet, and hopefully get these new leaders to look at things regionally as opposed to just looking at their little home.
Perfect. Yeah, and we actually tagged Leadership Southeast Georgia on this post. So if you want to learn more about that information, just click on that link. I'm Cynthia Craddock. I actually, for those of you who don't know, I just got elected to the state board of the Georgia JCs, which is also a leadership development program, but very different than LaSega is what they call Leadership Southeast Georgia. Very different than LaSega. Ours is a membership-based one where you join and you're in it to win it for several years until you're 40 and you age out. LaSega, or Leadership Southeast Georgia, essentially is 5 months, correct?
Yes, 5 months.
Okay,
yes.
And how long have y'all been running that program?
It's in its 20th year this year, so we're celebrating a milestone.
That's huge, yeah.
Yep, very excited about that.
And it's volunteer run, right?
Volunteer run. We've got some great sponsors that support us. They see the value in the program, so we're very appreciative of them as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So I know a little bit about LaSega. Marjorie Young and Cecilia Russo Turner, who are my partners, they're actually alumni of the program, so I know a lot about LaSega. But for those of us, or for those people who are tuning in now, what is the point of LaSega? Like, what is the main mission of it?
Well, far too often, leaders, people who are in leadership positions, they only care about and they only look at their immediate impact. They don't think about that next step. They don't think about what they're doing and the decisions that they're making might impact someone down the road.
Right.
And so our goal is to get these folks to get to know each other, to get into the practice of reaching out beyond their boundaries, and to talk and work with other folks.
Right. It's a 10-county program.
It's a 10-county program. And it just expands their horizons. It makes them more effective in what they do. And it also teaches them a little bit about what's going on outside and seeing the similarities and the problems that we're facing in Savannah to what they're facing in Brunswick to what they're facing in Statesboro.
Right, to get everyone out of the silos we all tend to work in. Yeah.
Exactly.
The JCs, just to give you a little bit of background on that, that is an organization who are the young professionals, the young chamber, 21 to 40-year-olds. Our mission is to inspire leadership development through community involvement.
Wow, that's great.
So a lot of our projects are community-oriented. We try and do like one done-in-a-day project a year, or every month, and then one big project a year. We hold Leadership Now series, which maybe I'll get you in and try and get you as a speaker. That would be great.
Sure.
Things like that. But what we've noticed too is that a lot of employers are starting to send their younger employees into the program just because of how impactful it is on the skill building element of it. And for those of you who are new to Open for Business, we share a link to an article every month. Just kind of like a New Age book club, essentially, to talk about different topics like this. So the one that was shared today, I think Elizabeth is watching, maybe she'll share it in the comment section. But that essentially was going to an article from Inc. magazine last year talking about leadership development and why companies would put that in there. I strategically picked one from last year because I wanted to see if you and I could talk about if things have changed this year at all. But just to jump in, I don't think it has changed. So let's talk about the article a little bit, and then we'll get back to that.
Okay.
So what was your takeaways from the article?
Well, the article, I don't think it's really changed a whole lot. It's set up with 3 things that every business or business owner wants their employees to know, and I think folks that look at those 3 things, that was leadership training, management, technical skills, and then the career development. Business owners that get the bigger picture, they're going to be doing that, and employees want that opportunity as well, because that makes them know that the business that they're working for is investing in them,
right, and values them.
Right, exactly, and so businesses that do that tend to do better, and their employees are stronger.
Right. And something we have heard continuously that was touched on in the article, so many people have issues finding like really strong employees who check all the boxes that they need.
Yes.
You may find someone who is a great people person, but they don't have the technical skills that you need, or my personal experience, I started as an intern in this field.
Oh, wow.
With Marjorie and Cecilia, I was their little intern, and I knew the PR side of things. I was trained, but I didn't know anything as far as management style goes, and so they threw me into the JCs to learn stuff like that.
Exactly.
And it has been invaluable. Now I'm a junior partner. Now I'm running like some of our team and stuff like that. So it really is invaluable. So for those employees who are really looking for retention on your employees or building your employees, programs like this are invaluable.
Yes, they are. And that's something that we do in Leadership Southeast. A lot of folks have done the Myers-Briggs type personality tests. I know I had done it prior to going through the program myself.
I've done it. I'm an ENFP.
ENFP.
The campaigner.
I can't even remember what I was.
I think it's fun.
I know I was an E at least.
Okay.
But the big thing is for me is that I'd done my own personal thing, and I'd seen my own personal thing. But when I was in a room full of other personalities, hearing about how these other, INTJs or how they think and how they process helps me
totally different
to communicate better with folks. I remember thinking, she was explaining someone. I was like, oh, that's the guy over in HR that I can never get him to, to answer a question because he needs to see it, he needs to process it, and he needs to think on it.
He totally works differently.
Right.
Yeah.
And so everyone thinks differently, and so you get so again thinking just about yourself. You're like, why don't they understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And then when you understand their needs, then it helps you to be a better, more effective.
And I don't think you understand that until someone tells you this.
Right.
Like just like you were saying, it's we've all done our Myers-Briggs test essentially, and if you haven't, please go online and do it because it's very interesting. But essentially, like until someone says, "How do we all work together?" You don't know that it's like, why don't you understand me?
Yes.
I've been perfectly clear with this. Yeah.
Yes. Perfectly clear to you.
Right.
But not to them.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that kind of extends to what we do is that we want you to think beyond just yourself, beyond just your boundary. And so that's what the program does.
Right. So let's talk about, so that's really like the management and the leadership. What about like the technical skills? And I touched on like I learned management skills, but with JCs too, I learned how to run an event from start to finish.
Right.
And be able to lead that, which was something that our team did, but I wasn't in charge of yet.
Yes.
Now I am, because I've proved that I can do it, So technical skills can come out of programs like this too. Does Leadership Southeast Georgia have something like that, or?
Not really in the technical side of things. We do talk a lot about soft skills. We do talk a lot about technical training because that is so important to our area.
Right.
We've got great technical schools both at the secondary and at the primary levels.
Yes. And those are brought into your education topic, right?
Yes. And so it's something that's discussed. If you're looking at technical training from the perspective of getting in practice of doing these things, I guess we do a little bit of that. we're not teaching folks how to drive a
Right.
truck or how to weld or anything like
Well, and I guess that comes to a point I want to talk about, like the difference between a program that is set up for 5 months to really nail down the regional issues and to connect leaders in
Right.
this region versus a program who is, you join at 21 and you're in it till 40 and you're doing different projects depending on where you want to land, like a
Right.
junior league or JCs or different things like that. Just the difference there is that you get, and I've had a unique experience of experiencing both.
Right.
But to see like the regional impact is very impactful, and then you come to the JCs and it's still an impactful in a totally different way.
Right. When we want to give those folks that are maybe in both, the tools that they need to be more effective. When you go through our program and then you come back to your community and you're discussing, hey, there's a problem that we need to solve. There's a project that we're going to work on. And you get into a group of 20 to 40 people and you start to focus on that problem, you get into that group thinking, this is the only way we can do it.
Right.
Someone with an experience that's looking beyond might be able to say, hey, I heard about a similar problem, down in Camden County.
Right.
This is how they solved it. And then it's completely different from what you were looking at. And you say, well, I'm going to reach out to that person.
Yeah, it's the
And
light bulb that goes off.
So with the JCs, and I know a little bit about them. They have different locations. So y'all are Savannah.
Yeah,
maybe
there's
one in Brunswick, maybe one in-
there's Columbus, there's Atlanta, there's Gray, Milledgeville, Statesboro, Swainsboro. Someone's gonna get mad at me for leaving them all out, but yes, there's about 10 to 12 different
Right.
ones in the state.
So you may be doing something here in Savannah, and they may be doing something similar in, say, Statesboro. And how did they solve that problem up there? Well,
Right.
internally you could reach out to them and say, hey, y'all did a similar project, but having that additional experience of going to other communities where they may not have a JCs, where
Right.
maybe it's a different Rotary, it's a Rotary or it's a Lions
Right.
Club or something else like that. That gives you that opportunity to do it better or do it more effectively.
Right.
Right.
Which is the ultimate goal of all of this anyway, is to
Yeah.
continuously grow.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We're all works in progress.
Right. One thing that the article didn't touch on that you and I have touched on here is that one of the values of these programs is really to connect everyone. We keep bringing that back up, but I can't stress that enough, that to connect the network of leaders in the region or the state or even locally is just a huge benefit to the individual,
Right.
to the company, and to the region. Like, it's a win-win-win for everyone involved.
Yes.
But I don't think that with the age of social media, people really understand this value.
Yeah.
And it's coming back, but it's a slow progress there.
Yeah, and making those connections when you go through a JCs or a leadership program, whether it's your local leadership or your regional one or a statewide one, you've gone through and you've experienced something with that person. And so there's a deeper bond than if you just friended them on Facebook.
Right.
Or if you just met them one time at a coffee shop or whatever. Having that shared experience means that they are engaged with you, and there is a deeper connection and a deeper bond.
Sure.
And they're going to go to bat for you if you have a problem that they can solve. And so that's really what these types of programs are about, is to develop that and strengthen those bonds. Because networking is one thing, but if you have a strong bond as opposed to a
Right.
weak bond, that's going to help you even further.
Absolutely. And I guess that does touch on their final point of career betterment, development.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's just interesting that I think that these programs have been around, LaSaga for 20 years, the JCs for 75,
Yeah.
and just in Savannah, like, the different programs are clearly something that stood the test of time.
Right.
And there's still such a need for that.
There is. I mean, our local leadership programs, like Leadership Savannah, I think, they may have started that back when Oglethorpe landed.
Right.
It's been around for forever, and this is such a strong program.
Right.
I went through it 15 years ago and still connect with folks that were in my class. In fact, the vice chair for Leadership Southeast, Brent Grant, and I were in the same class.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, that's fun.
And,
Did you also go through Leadership Georgia?
I'm not.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Gotcha.
It's a goal.
It's a goal. There
yes.
you go. Goal setting. I love it. leadership span is one of my goals. So
Oh,
I'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an excellent program.
Yeah, I want to. So I just, it's really, I want to time it just right when
Yes.
I'm landed in it,
Yes.
so I can really devote my time to it. But you're right, it is. So you would recommend doing both the local and the regional and the
yes.
state, as many as you can, essentially.
Well, on the regional program, we prefer folks who've gone through the local program.
Right.
Because,
Okay.
if you're in the medical field, or if you're in the transportation field, or you're in, the legal field, your
Industry,
area.
right.
But you don't know perhaps what's going on in, throughout the community.
Sure.
And so we want someone that can come into a program and can speak to what's going on in their neck of the woods. And so if we're covering education in Bullock County and they're going over their problems, and someone is from Savannah and they're in the legal field, they may not know the issues that are happening here in Savannah
Right.
within education. And so how can they go to Bullock and listen to something and they can't add to
And
the
not
conversation?
relate it. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So, if someone in Bullock says, hey, this is a problem we're having, then, the person, that they don't have any experience or any knowledge, then they can't offer any help.
Right.
Right.
And so your program really is to get people invested in talking and contributing
Right.
while they're in it. So
Right.
it's not just you sit and this is a show and tell, and now and you can go and do your own thing.
Exactly. And it's interesting to watch as they progress, because the first session is all about getting to know one another and getting to know your leadership style. And we will cover natural resources there.
Mm-hmm.
In the sessions 2 and 3, they're still kind of feel like almost a show and tell, even though they're a little bit more engaged. But by 3 or 4, certainly by 5, a light is clicked, and you can almost see it for each person in the class when it happens, and they're like, oh, now I see this connection here,
Right.
And they get excited about it. It's just really, awe-inspiring.
I feel like I'm picking your brain, Lee. If
Huh?
y'all have any questions, I'm just
Oh.
going to tune in. Let me see. Anyone? Let's see. I know Hope is tuning in. Hi, Hope. You're in with the Junior League. So if you have anything to add, just chime in and I'll ask Lee, because it's not every day that you get to
Right.
sit with Lee Beckmann.
Well, the Junior League's another program that was like that. I mean,
Right.
they develop a community. They I know folks, who are in Junior League and who have been in Junior League previously, but they're still connected.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all work together to better our community. So it's another excellent program.
Right, yeah. Shout out to Junior League. Hi, Mark Howard. I see you just joined. If you have any questions for Lee, let us know. Okay, so we kind of talked about Listega in general. One thing that I find very interesting is your homework projects. So
Yes.
that's another way you get your participants involved with changing things. Tell everyone who's watching what that is.
So, the big part of it, is you do a lot of show and tell. And you can go through the whole program without the homework and just listen and smile and nod and hang out
And be here.
and then be done. And certainly there are folks that unfortunately that light doesn't click on with them. But the homework kind of requires folks to work together. We get we give them 5, 6 subjects that they can choose from. They break up into groups, and we want to make sure that the groups are regionally diverse.
Okay.
So we don't want everyone from Chatham County in one group. We want to spread it out.
Right.
And so let's say that the subject is military impact.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good one.
And so, obviously we've got several bases in this region, from Fort Stewart Hunter up here in Savannah to Camden County and Kings Bay down there. And the issue of base realignment and closure, or BRAC, or reductions in force, or RIF, they would impact our community a great deal. I mean, and it's a $1 billion impact, up there in Hinesville on our economy.
Which would hurt really bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So the group may get together and say, this is an issue that we need to resolve. Well, how can we strengthen our argument to Washington when they start looking at bases to close? And so a couple of years ago, we had a group get together, and they said, no one's really supporting the spouses and helping them find a job. And so they actually developed a commercial that ran on several of our local channels. I know it was on WTOC.
Yeah, I saw it actually.
Not saying things about other channels, but I know it was on that one because Dawn Baker was in that class.
Yeah.
And so it ran. It was an excellent program,
It was.
and an excellent little commercial. And they were able to put that together thanks to, I think, the video team at Hunter.
Right. I think so. Yeah.
And so it helped to fill a need. Now, whether it impacted a lot of people, I don't know. But it got those folks in the practice of understanding, hey, this is a subject that's going to impact us all. But it also got them into practice from someone from Chatham County talking to someone from Statesboro
Right.
to solve a mutual problem.
In the region.
Yeah. Right.
Interesting.
Right. So, and I keep picking on Bullock and Chatham and Glenn. I should add Camden and
Camden,
Liberty.
we love Camden
And
too.
McIntosh
And Bryan
yeah.
and Liberty. And
Yes.
who else do we
Long
have?
County. Looking at the map, make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. Screven County.
You're gonna be in trouble
Yes.
like I am for
Yes.
leaving off one of our
Yes.
organizations. Oh gosh. Well, okay. So is there anything else, leadership development, that you want to touch on? Like what? Really, I want everyone to go into this year thinking about how to implement leadership development into your business, into your personal lives. How do you grow as an individual or a company? Leadership development is one of the biggest ways that it's underutilized right now. So if there is one takeaway you could really leave with everyone, what would it be?
Well, I think that any employer is going to want to have employees that go to them and say, "How can I be better? How can I serve you better?" Whether it's not just working harder. We certainly want everybody working harder, but how can I be a more effective employee? And that's always something I think that would be celebrated by any employer. And
so employee, here's your action item. Go to your employer and ask, how can I be more impactful in the company?
Right. And that, shows a positive attitude, obviously, but it also shows that you want to do better for them. And then, of course, the employers, most of the ones I know of do a good job of giving their employees opportunities to learn. We're always works in progress, whether you're 70 years old or 17 years old.
Right.
You can always improve, and you can always be a better person. And so whether it's engaging in like a Rotary or JCs or something like that, that the volunteers within the community, or if it's a leadership program like ours, we're never too old to learn.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. We're never too old to learn.
Right.
Oh, let's see. Hope Gruber came in. Let me read you. Sorry, I got a low battery sign. I'm using the article written within my company and corporation on our leadership team. Thanks for passing it along. You're most welcome, Hope. Thanks for tuning in. So, without further ado, if anyone else has anything to ask Lee, put it in a comment. We'll get it over to him. I tagged you in the post, so you may
great. Thank you.
have several
Yes.
notifications coming up. But again, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
on
you.
Open for Business.
Yes.
This is the first one of 2019, so stay tuned because we're going to have a lot new topics, hot topics. We want to get you guys engaged and growing in your business. So just thank you so much and have a great day.
Thanks, guys.